There's more than enough deception for everyone in today's Reddit stories. We have a young woman who started going clubbing with her friend and met some new guys in the process, and a woman who decided to get a personal trainer. So you can already imagine what may have happened from there. If you'd like to find out how these stories end, get yourself a coffee and grab a bowl of popcorn so we can get into it.
My girlfriend's 24, the same age as me, and we've been together for more than 4 years. When we got together, she was still recovering from a very abusive relationship, which was both mental and physical. I helped her recover from that, and she became extremely attached to me and I to her. The thought of her cheating on me seemed impossible. Throughout our relationship, we've talked a bunch of times about cheating in relationships, and we both agreed that it can't solve any problems, and communication should always be the solution. I believed that from her, and she didn't show any interest in other boys while I was with her. In the last year, she became somewhat more distant and started doing things that I didn't know she was into. She started going to clubs with her best friend, saying that she wants to dance. Clubbing wasn't really my kind of thing, and she knew that, and I didn't want to go out with her just to be her bodyguard. At first, I didn't think too much of it because I believed that she or her friend would handle any situation that occurred with guys who tried to flirt with her. However, after a couple of weeks, while we were looking at something on her phone, she got a message from someone named Chris, I think. The "I think" part seemed off to me, so I asked her about it. Apparently, some random guy told her that she looked nice and asked for her number, so she gave it to him. Her excuse was that she was drunk. This is when I started to become suspicious of her. I confronted her about this because I thought she just went to the club to dance with her friend. Foolish, I know, but that was how much I trusted her back then. We ended up having a big fight, in which she snapped at me for being too jealous and controlling about this. My argument was that she has no volition when she gets drunk, and neither she or her friend would do anything if a couple of guys were to get them drunk. We somewhat recovered from that fight in the months that followed, but I still felt some resentment from her regarding that. She started saying that I'm judging her whenever she'd tell me something sensitive. Around this time, I also started looking at her messages and found that she was still talking with that guy. It wasn't anything to worry about, though, because it was mostly idle talk coming from him. And it was only every couple of weeks or so. Fast forward to a few days ago, and it had been a long time since I looked through her messages. I thought our relationship was going pretty good, and I was investing time and effort into it continually. She still seemed kind of distant, but in her words, she was just stressed and tired from university and work. I believed that, as I'm also stressed and tired, but I guess everyone has different thresholds. Nevertheless, one night I thought to look through her phone to see what was up. One of her latest chats was with that Chris, I think guy, and it was from the previous night when I thought she went to bed early. At 3 a.m., she was sending him pictures of her in the club, saying she was drunk. I was furious, but I didn't tell her anything and just started looking for other chats. And there it was, some random guy again with a strange name that I can't remember right now. Their conversations seemed a bit on the intimate side, no sexting or anything, but still. I went to the beginning of their chat, and it seems that around 3 months ago he got her number after meeting her on the street. A few days after, she told him out of the blue to not tell anyone about what they're doing in the bed. Suffice to say, that was the moment I snapped. I woke her up and asked, "Would you tell me if you cheated on me?" She said yes, of course. After a few moments of silence, she asked where her phone was. I handed it to her and she stormed out of the room. Since then, she's told me what happened. She said she got extremely drunk that night with her friend at her place. She was sad about our relationship and thought she couldn't talk to me and that I don't give her enough time, even though I've always given her time, at every chance I got. If she'd told me it was this bad for her, I would have given her even more. She went on to say that she went for a walk alone that night and texted that guy. She then went to his place, kissed him, embraced him, and slept in his arms, or at least that's what she told me. She's desperately trying to get back with me, saying she loves me and it'll never happen again. She said she'll try to get therapy and work on our relationship, fixing everything that's broken. I'm very close to believing her, but my heart's still broken. I don't know if I can continue a relationship with her, especially knowing that we were heading towards living together, marriage, and the good time stuff. What should I do? Is what she did that bad that it warrants no second chances? Should I walk on my ego and accept her back?
OP's first mistake is thinking that it's impossible for his partner to cheat on him. People get cheated on every day, and a lot of people who are betrayed in this way never see it coming. Sure, you should trust your partner, but you should never think that they're not capable of doing something. While not everyone who goes clubbing will cheat on their partner, you are putting yourself in a situation that makes the likelihood of that happening slightly higher, much like having your social media account open to the world. It only takes a rough patch in a relationship for someone to end up in bed with the person who was just a friend. The fact that OP's partner is still talking with the guy she met in the club is a massive red flag. As long as the new guy can keep her talking, even if the conversations are nonsense, the closer they will get. After that, it's only a matter of time. Now, onto the guy she said she embraced until the morning. I'm pretty certain that they had sex. It's very rare that two adults would be in bed together like that, and not go all the way. Those are just my thoughts, though. Let's check out the comments.
Badgerbrush says, "You're 24. Move on. She's shown you who she is. She's lied to you. Also, she asked the other person to lie. What she's doing is right out of the cheater's handbook, telling you as little as possible. Did she do what she said? Sure. But she left out that she was naked, had sex in the bed, and showered with him in the morning. When you find out a little more, she'll add things to the story. It's called trickle truth. You need to end it and move on. Pick up a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover. It will help you establish boundaries. It will also help you with relationships, work, family, where to draw the line, and how to not let red flags go on." Prestigious Past says, "She lied to you over and over again. I would let her know that you were thinking of marriage, but have decided to hold off for an undetermined length of time to see how things go. But the real question you should be asking yourself is, will you ever be able to trust her again? If the answer's no, you need to end the relationship. Marriage is built on trust and actual communication."
I think those are some wise words. Now, I like to check back on a story before I upload a video, and I noticed that OP replied to another Redditor with a short update, and it's shocking.
I extracted a full confession from her soon after this, and this has been going on since we argued about going clubbing. It turns out she's been sleeping with the Chris, I think, guy regularly, and 4 other guys besides the 2 I mentioned in the story. I've cut all contact with her since then. It makes me sick, even now when I think about it.
Well, it seems like OP's partner went above and beyond. It's quite scary that during his conversations with her, she seemed to have a firm stance on cheating, but her actions told a completely different story. This is why it's much more important to pay attention to someone's behavior rather than what they say.
My wife's been extremely depressed since we got married 7 months ago. Our sex life was non-existent for years, as we've both been battling depression for a long time. I made the decision early on that I loved her enough that I could accept that. If we're lucky, we had sex maybe once every 6 months. 3 months ago, she decided to start going to personal training once a week. After a month, she became colder and more distant with me, and started telling me that she was becoming friends with her trainer. One day, she came home and told me that she and her trainer were going to get a coffee after training one day. This made me uncomfortable, and I expressed this to her. She was unhappy with my discomfort, but made it clear that she intended to go. I said it was okay because I didn't want to be controlling, and while I found it unusual and it made me uncomfortable, I had no reason not to trust her. She went for the coffee, and they had a long talk, and I actually couldn't reach her for about 4 hours. Afterwards, she came home and told me about what they talked about, but it was nothing too alarming. Over the next month, they started spending more time together, which usually involved taking walks and going for dinner. I felt that this was extremely inappropriate and began to express this more directly. Our communication was breaking down, and she began to express frustration at my concern regarding the situation. She told me that nothing was happening, that I was acting crazy, and if I told her that I didn't want her to see him anymore, she'd hate me for it. I didn't want that. I felt like I was overreacting because of how strongly she reacted. In her slight defense, she also said that she wanted to start reaching out to her old friends more, so she can get out of the house and be more social again, which I totally support. After this, she got even colder towards me. We barely spoke and argued plenty. One day, she told me that her trainer was coming to the house to give her something from the gym. She thought it was workout equipment, but instead it was 24 roses. She seemed a bit unsettled by it, but decided in her own words, not to look too deeply into it, because after all, in her own words again, he's just a really nice guy and a good person. I, however, was extremely alarmed and very uncomfortable. She did nothing to inspire my confidence in her that nothing was going on between them. He eventually told her that they were a gift from work to the trainers because it was Mother's Day. She believed this, but I didn't. Over the next few weeks, things got worse. She started to tell me how she was unhappy and how she hated her life. She's always battled with depression, so these weren't things we haven't worked through in the past. What was new, however, is that she felt smothered in our relationship and told me that she wanted to explore opening our relationship up and dating women since she never got the chance to explore her sexuality since we got together. I wasn't okay with this. I didn't want that. This is the woman I spent a decade with, and we just got married this year. We were best friends and agreed on everything, and now we agreed on nothing. We argued relentlessly about opening up our relationship, and eventually I started to soften on the idea because I was so stressed out and worried that I might lose her. I was willing to do anything to save us. Over the next couple of days, I flip-flopped a lot because of how unsure, uncomfortable, and unhappy I was. This made her extremely mad. Eventually, we had a big discussion. It was looking like it was time to break up, and then she dropped the bomb on me. She told me that despite saying she never wanted to date guys again, despite assuring me emphatically that she wasn't interested at all, she told me that she developed feelings for her trainer. I lost it. I accused her of gaslighting me, manipulating me, and making me think I was crazy and that she had an emotional affair, lasting months. An affair that made me more depressed than I've ever been. I told her that she never took my feelings or considerations into account throughout all of this time, and she admitted it was all true. She broke down too, in a way I've never seen her before. We both agreed that we needed space to work through our own feelings. She stayed at a hotel for 2 nights over the weekend. She told me before she left that she was going to tell her trainer that she couldn't see him anymore. Of course, in hindsight, this was the perfect set of circumstances for her to complete the affair. When she came home, she told me that she spoke with her trainer, and they agreed to not see each other outside of training again, but that we still needed to break up. I was extremely depressed. I didn't trust her. She broke a decade of trust in our relationship together. So, of course, I agreed to the breakup, and that's what we did. We were going to lose the apartment we rented together, so I moved back into my parents' place, and she'll have to find her own apartment since neither of us wants to, or could afford to stay there on our own. I took our dog with me, and she kept the cats, though realistically, both of us may end up having to give them away as we start our new lives apart. So, tell me, she cheated emotionally on me, but do you think she had sex with him? Because the more I think about it, the more I believe she did. After all, I never thought she would emotionally cheat on me. But if she's capable of that, then why not sleep with her trainer?
OP's story made me think that his wife has little to no respect for him. She was practically going on dates with her personal trainer, which for some reason, OP was allowing. The way she reacted to his discomfort was gaslighting at its finest, as she was able to convince OP that he was in the wrong for suspecting her of anything. OP was making excuses for his partner, talking about how she wanted to reconnect with her old friends. To me, though, it seemed like she just needed an excuse to get out of the house so she can spend time with her trainer. For the trainer to bring flowers to OP's home takes the disrespect to a whole other level, and his wife played it off like it was nothing, continuing to gaslight him. The second OP's partner mentioned opening up the relationship. It was pretty much a wrap. I could only see this ending one way. If the objecting partner finally gives in and opens up their relationship, that person usually gets their heart split into a million pieces. The weekend OP's partner stayed at a hotel for 2 days. I'd bet money on the fact that things got physical with her trainer. To be honest though, I'm pretty sure they'd already been physical by that point. Thankfully, OP was able to get out of this situation. Let's see what's being said in the comments.
Primary General says, I believe the trainer was balls deep in her. The 4-hour coffee was the first. But another man taking my wife out to dinner more than once? F that. No point in even getting evidence. Just remember that you married a lying cheater. Do yourself a favor and look for a partner who checks your boxes and matches your libido. And if any of that depression is still present in you, please seek counseling that will help you with your next relationship. Switchboard Friend says, it's a gym affair with a body-proud affair partner. It's a very physical affair because that's what he's got to offer primarily. Gym affairs are almost exclusively physical. She isn't discussing the finer points of Proust or world peace with this guy. Going on dates doesn't make it an emotional affair, and a physical affair requires a certain amount of spade work to kickstart. If she hasn't already had sex with him during one of these walks, or when she was supposed to be at the gym or at the hotel, she shortly will. If I was a betting man, then it turned physical almost immediately. File for divorce while she thinks she's got an upgrade. She's about to find out just how fleeting gym affairs are. It won't be long before Lothario's onto the next pretty thing that turns his eye. She won't be the first woman to get 24 roses from him, and she won't be the last. This guy will have a loyalty card with the florist. The minute she starts up with her depression or issues, Lothario won't put up with that.
I can honestly say that I've never heard the term Lothario before, but I think I'll start using it from now on. If you're going to take anything away from OP's story, it's to not let your partner gaslight you if you have a genuine cause for concern. Follow your gut, then follow the evidence, and remember, actions always speak louder than words. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.